Hola, hoy quiero compartirte una manera de practicar el inglés que consiste en leer, pero en esta ocasión lo que yo voy a hacer es ir haciendo la lectura para que tú puedas escuchar la pronunciación. Estoy aquí en una página que se llama medium.com, es una página que tiene artículos que son interesantes y aquí hay una reflexión que me gusta mucho que es de TEFI PESSOA, la autora, quien nos da como su perspectiva de lo que significa para ella ser latina. Así que voy a hacer la lectura de esto que se llama I can be both. I can be both. My name is Estefanía Vanegas Pessoa. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. I left Miami when I was 22 and I lived in Bogotá for a bit and then finally nestled in New York for the past decade. My mother is Colombian and my father is Brazilian. I have two siblings, Laura and Esteban, who both still live in Miami. I never saw Miami as a bubble. I don't think you can recognize a bubble from the inside. As a kid, I thought the majority of the world was also Latino. I thought everyone ordered Papa John's in Spanish, and every school dance had at least 5 salsa songs. I thought everyone knew who DJ Laz was and did projects on Gloria Estefan. I thought everyone spoke Spanish, and if they didn't, it was okay because someone was always looking to practice their English anyway. I moved to New York the fall of 2012 and I started dating. I didn't really need to make new friends. A bunch of my Miami friends already lived in NYC, and it was an easy transition for me, except dating. I remember the guy I was dating was from Westchester, and he described me as spicy on the phone with his friends. I didn't really understand what I did to be spicy. We hadn't fought. I never pushed back. I was polite. I spoke my mind, but I wasn't confrontational. But I kept hearing that word, spicy. I heard someone say a spicy Latina is perfect for him, just the thing to get him over his ex. I wanted to be loved so badly. I didn't say anything, but it stuck with me. A spicy Latina is perfect for him. Like an outfit, like a hair color, like a purse. One of his friends asked if my family was legal, and I didn't understand. When I said my mom was in wealth management and someone said I should be so proud, I didn't understand. Like as though my mother was my toddler, learning to walk and talk around the world. My mom went to an American school in Medellin and went to college in Maryland. Both my parents and grandparents voted in every election. I was an American, first-generation Latina. I was both. I was more than both. I was many things. I was someone my family was proud of. I was someone my family loved so much that they told me about where they came from. They wanted me to know what they were made of, the food, the music, the company we keep. They talked to me about the wars, the corruption, the laws, the memories, the friendships, the churrasco, the country club, the vacations in Cartagena, the beaches in Rio, the granadilla, the lulo, the samba, the cumbia. But they never told me that American people outside of Miami may not see me as American, but more as someone they did a favor. They let us come here, they let us stay, they're so happy we're doing well, and that's fine. I've accepted Miami's not Darien, Connecticut. But what I'm trying to accept and overcome the most is that you may not see me as Latina. My Latin dad has been my shield for so long, my home base, a language beyond verbs, but seen in the way I love and laugh and dance and hug and protect and cry and eat and celebrate. I have my father's nose and my mother's temper. I have my grandmother's humor and my grandfather's wisdom. All of their characteristics are in me. Their Latin dad lives in me. The countries they love live in me, even if they are not the same countries they remember. My family talks about Colombia and Brazil as breathing entities, parental figures that molded their morals and values. I remember my grandfather saying he was heartbroken for his Colombia. I remember my father saying Brazil was changing. And I remember my mom saying Latinos are the joy of the world. Having parents share their love and pain of country with you is like having a light bulb inside you, lit up with pride, rooted in the electricity of identity. To be part of the Latino community means so many things to me. It is a house of closeness and security that goes everywhere with me. My community is my pride. My community is my joy. My community is the rhythm to my life. So much of me and my perspective is indebted to the overwhelming support, protection, love, and tenderness the Latino community provided and continues to provide for me. To be Latino is to be fearless and to laugh with your whole face. I could go on forever. I was raised around Latinos that will heal you, feed you, hug you, scold you, clothe you, and comfort you, because that's what we do. We deserve to be seen and to be heard and to be respected. We deserve acknowledgement. We work hard. We love so hard. My roots are everything to me, but the way I love people is not unique to me. Latino comes in every color, shade, hue, and complexion. But we all laugh the same. Have you noticed that? The way we express joy? And yet, I find myself begging for people around me to see us. We are so much more than the unrealistic and often harmful tropes we see in Hollywood, often by depicting Latino people as criminals, low-level workers. Our family's immigration stories are stories about survival and unconditional love, not just spicy plots for TV. I've talked about this tirelessly online, and then, one day, I saw a comment that changed my life. It's always the white Latinas that want to be the most Latina so bad. The comment had thousands of likes, hundreds of comments. Another Florida girl trying to be Cuban. She doesn't even speak Spanish, don't claim us. It never occurred to me that I was not enough until people told me I wasn't. I never knew my Spanish wasn't perfect until people told me. I never knew in order to be Brazilian I had to speak Portuguese until people told me. I never knew Latinas looked and spoke a certain way until people told me. I never knew I had to ask to be part of something I was born into. There are many things about my Latin that I'll never know. My privilege is one I was born into in Doctor's Hospital in Coral Gables. My mother's side of the family have shared as much as they can, but I did not grow up in Colombia. My father's side of the family has either passed on or don't know I exist. I will never know what it's like to be born and raised in Colombia or Brazil, but I know that I love them. I know that my parents raised us in their image, and that image is tied to the countries they still call home. I do not know why my father didn't teach us Portuguese, but I know we didn't need it to speak the same language to love each other. When my grandparents passed, I imagined them finding each other again in Medellin in the Pineville house with their dogs, Lady y Benji. Their home. The first thing I think of when people tell me I'm not enough is how enough I was for Carlos y Livia, and that is enough for me. My brother and my sister do not speak Spanish, but I have never seen more involved grandparents. Their language was a love language. It had nothing to do with conjugation. I think people assume I am preaching that language is meaningless and no one should learn Spanish because it doesn't define anything for anyone. That's not true. I am trying to mold a conversation around feeling welcome to learn at whatever stage in your life. You do not need permission to learn a language your loved ones speak. You may never roll yours perfectly, but that's okay. If language will make you feel closer to your heritage, I want you to feel welcome to it. I am trying to create unity. I am trying to spark inclusivity in the Latino community. I am asking people to open their arms to a Latino they may not recognize. I am trying to stretch out my arms to people who were told they didn't belong to a warmth that is their birthright. I want people to know there is an entire community waiting to love them for only existing. I am Latina, but I am also many things. I am American, I am a Catholic, I am a granddaughter and a daughter and a sister and a niece and a friend and a best friend and a cousin. I am bilingual and I am loved, and all of those things are valid. To invalidate me is to turn your back on every conversation I've had with my family about the places they love the most, home. In Miami, seeing a new kid that came from a surrounding island was normal. And we all knew what that sacrifice meant. It meant confusion, sometimes exhausting days of travel. It meant hiding in plain sight. It meant hope. It meant leaving loved ones behind. It meant learning a new language. It meant so much. It meant survival. Not a betrayal to identity, to history, to roots, to blood. I will never know what it's like to leave where I come from and start over. My family loved me before I ever existed, and they made that decision for me in good faith. And sometimes when I'm online, I wish I did know. I wish my mom stayed in Colombia. I wish my father stayed put. But then I wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have met Miami and the communities she harbors. And I would like to think when my parents met on the street that day in New York, they felt less like strangers because of the community they belonged to. You're like me, they thought. You know what you're made of too. You're proud of it too. Espero que te haya gustado esta lectura y también espero que continúes conectado a mi canal para que sigamos practicando juntos el inglés. Bye bye.